Giants for Hire.
Welcome back to James for Hire. I'm Matthew Perry. With me tonight, Will Polston and Jamel King. These are our Week 11 Pick'em predictions. Update on the standings. Will is still in first place. He won last week once again. Jamel and RJ are tied for second, and I am up the rear in last place. This week, we got some action going on. We got 5 different islands. We'll start with RJ's. RJ picked the Philadelphia Eagles to defeat the New Orleans Saints. We'll have RJ's explanation as to why he made such an interesting pick right here.
All righty, guys. Sorry I couldn't be with you guys there tonight. But here's my thinking for the Eagles. This team I thought was bad, and now all of a sudden they look like maybe they're not bad. They're starting to get Devontae Smith involved more, which, shocker, your wide receiver that won the Heisman Trophy last year might actually be good and might be able to help you win. This team has looked decent the past couple weeks. This, to me, is more about the Saints. You're asking a dome team, which I still believe in that, dome teams playing outside, especially this time of year. You're asking a dome team to go on the road, go up north. I don't know what the weather's going to look like, but I bet just about anything it's going to be pretty cold. So I'm betting on that dome team to go up north and struggle outdoors against a team that's kind of finding their stride. I mean, let's calm down. The Eagles aren't going to the playoffs or anything like that, but I really don't think the Saints are going to the playoffs either. This isn't quite an ugly girl fight. It's not that bad. But I'm just going to go with the Eagles on this one. Hey, fly, Eagles, fly, right?
Perfect. Thank you, RJ. I couldn't have said it better myself. Jamel, you are one of the other 3, which is us, that picked the New Orleans Saints. Can you tell us why?
Yeah, so last week, they played a pretty tough game against the Tennessee Titans. They almost won if it wasn't for a lot of missed extra points that made them have to go for 2 at the end. But I think they're playing a really good brand of football. They got a really strong roster. So I think they should be able to come in here and their defense will be able to stand strong against Jalen Hurts too. We've been very adamant it's not the best of throwers in the NFL. So I think defense is going to carry the Saints to a win in this game. Even though the Eagles have played good the last few weeks, give me the Saints.
Jamel, I'll stay with you and we'll hit your island. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers defeating the Los Angeles Chargers. Tell us about that one.
I do. Again, this is one of those games where I got to separate myself. I got to somehow catch Will. There's no other way to do that. The pick games he's not going to pick. Now, I have to be a little bit logical with them. The Vikings, who screwed me over a few weeks ago, helped this guy last week. Unbelievable. But the reason I picked the Steelers is because, they're coming off of a tie. They looked horrible at home last week. The Chargers, we can't get a read on them either. They're one of those teams where it's like, are they good or are they not? Like a lot of the teams in the NFL, we really don't know. And I think the Steelers will be able to come in here. And I said last week they were going to beat the Lions because they were going to rely on the run, which they did. They just didn't win the game relying on the run. And I think this game, the Chargers are also susceptible to getting beat on the ground. So I expect a lot of Najee Harris, and I expect the defense of the Steelers to make enough plays to somehow win this game on the road.
Well, the Chargers, similar to the Steelers, haven't been playing great football lately. What do you what's your key to victory basically for the Chargers?
It's characteristic of both the Steelers and the Chargers to play down to opponents and kind of not play their best football. But that's the thing, is that they both took, well, I shouldn't say they both took L's. One took a T.
That was an L, basically.
Yeah, you tied to the Lions. It's an L. But they might as well have both taken losses. And now this week, I'd assume they're both going to bounce back. It's not characteristic for the Chargers to be caught with their pants around their ankles 2 weeks in a row. I'd imagine Jay Herbo gets things going here this week.
Well, we'll move to you for your island. You have the Seattle Seahawks, who were just recently shut out in Russell Wilson's return. That doesn't happen very often. They're taking on the Arizona Cardinals, who got beat pretty bad, or at least, pretty moderately by the Carolina Panthers. What made you go with Seattle?
I don't know. Now, obviously, this game, assuming I don't know if Kyler Murray and D-Hop, I don't know what their statuses are. But I know Kyler's been out for a little bit. If he comes back this week, I'd imagine it's going to be a short week, couple of weeks away from game time speed. Russell Wilson working his way back as well. But again, this is kind of one of those interdivisional games where we've been harping on all season. This has prime spot for a letdown game with Arizona, even though they just kind of had a big letdown game against Carolina. But Seattle got completely shut out. And that's, like you said, is very uncharacteristic for Russ. I could see them bouncing back and sneaking out a victory this week in a close game.
What made you take Arizona?
Fully expecting Kyler Murray to be able to come back and play along with DeAndre Hopkins. I think if both of them come back, I don't think the Seahawks defense will be much of anything to stop this offense that was humming before the two went down hurt. But again, if neither of them play, I mean, the Seahawks have everything in front of them to win this football game. And no way do I expect them to play as bad as they did last week on offense against the Packers.
No way.
All right, we'll hit my islands. My first one. When you got a couple bad teams, you got the New York Jets.
This game's gross.
We got the Miami Dolphins, and typically we look for the other side of our little checklist. But this week, they're on the same line, and that's difficult. But all three of you guys somehow made it easy by picking the Miami Dolphins. I was the only one to pick the New York Jets, and that's fine. I'm 10 games back in the standings. The Jets have pulled off a couple upset victories this year. I think any win they'll get this season is an upset. Except this, I don't know who's the favorite for this week. You guys know?
Still the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
By 3 points at the moment.
Hey, I don't mind that. I don't mind taking the Jets, a 3-point underdog. That's not bad, and I definitely think it pull it out. Will, you told me that Zach Wilson might be back this week.
Mhm.
Whether it's him or Mike White, doesn't really matter. The Dolphins with Brissett or Tua, I mean, they're both kind of unstable right now too. So, tale of two evils. I'm gonna go with what I think to be the lesser, and that's the New York Jets. And let's hope I pick up the win. Jamil, why the Dolphins?
The Dolphins, I think they showed us something last week against the Ravens, but I don't think they're gonna come out and play the same exact way they did against the Ravens. But I do think that Tua Tagovailoa is playing with a chip on his shoulder, and he was playing good the few games he played after coming back from his original injury before he hurt his finger again. And, he came in relief last week for some reason in relief. I don't know why he didn't start. If he could have been the relief guy, but he came in and he dialed things up and he made plays and got the Dolphins a win. And now I think he's going to be able to get a Jets defense that can be beat. We saw them last week get beat by Josh Allen. I think this week they can get beat by Tua Tagovailoa and a few of the weapons he has over there, and Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki didn't do anything last week against the Ravens. I expect him to have a big bounce back game this week against the Jets.
This could be ugly girl fight of the year.
Yeah, we thought we had
debatable. We thought we had it with the Texans and Dolphins.
Yeah, this could be worse or better.
Good,
depending on how you like your football. But we'll hit the fifth and final island. It's my second one. It's the Raiders and the Bengals. Both teams are 5-4. The Bengals are coming off a bye. The Raiders are coming off of an ass kicking from the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs woke up, so it's going to happen. But I do think the Raiders are still the better football team. Both the Raiders and Bengals have had ups and downs this year, to say the least. But I like what we've seen from Derek Carr. I know at the beginning of the season, Stephen A. or someone on First Take called Derek, or it was like Keyshawn Johnson or something, called Derek Carr a top 5 quarterback in football. And I still don't know if I'd say that, but he's playing really well overall. I do think he's having a good season, and Joe Burrow has too. I still think that he lacks a little bit of support with the O-line and everything. He's got the receivers this year, which is nice. But this could wind up being a higher scoring game. I think it'll be an exciting one, honestly. But I do have the Raiders pulling this one out. Will, why did you take the Bengals?
I don't blame you at all for taking the Raiders. This was a game that I spent a little bit more time on trying to choose. This and a different game that apparently we're all unanimous for, which is kind of shocking. So this game it took me a little bit to kind of decide. I went with the Bengals just because I expect them to be a little bit more fresh out of the bye. The Raiders are a little bit since the whole Henry Ruggs situation, even the John Gruden situation. This team, it seems like they just have a little thing in there where they keep them out. Keep track of the days since they had an accident, and they're proud it's in the double digits at this point. And it's just kind of awkward. They've got a lot going on, and until they grab a win with everything going on, I'm not going to pick the Raiders. I'm going to sit there and let the world even them out, because per usual they're going to end 8-8, even though this year they're either going to end 7-9 or 9-7, but they will be at least 8 wins and or losses promised, and so they're going to hover right around it. So yeah, the Raiders are evening back out to what they're supposed to be every single year. The Bengals, I expect them to come out of the bye looking fresh, looking good, and having an explosive offense.
I could have sworn the Raiders won a game since at least Gruden.
They won the
They did.
first
They
game
won the
after
first
Gruden,
game.
Yeah.
but they've lost the next 2 or 3 since the Rugg situation.
So I remember I picked against them. Like, they have all this going on. Why would they win? And then they played really well. And then
They won 2 straight games post.
Did they? I thought they lost that first game after Ruggs.
They beat the Broncos, beat the Eagles, then they've lost 2 straight since.
I thought it was Gruden was the Eagles game, and then
Gruden was the Broncos game, then the Eagles game. Then
okay.
They had a bye week,
I went
and they
Broncos.
lost 2.
Bye week, was that Ruggs week? Regardless,
Yeah,
They've
and
been-
then they lost to the Giants, and then
they've been on a shit
that happened during
slide.
the bye week. Yes,
That makes sense. There you go. They've been on a shit slide since the bye week, and it's been tough. First Ruggs, then Arnett. Who's next? Who knows? Hopefully nobody. But until they can grab a win post the players making mistakes, I'm not going to take the Raiders.
This is a huge game.
It is a big game.
They're tied for the last wild card spot. They're both the same record. This big game.
Absolutely. We do have one split. It's me and Will with the Dallas Cowboys and RJ and Jamil with the Kansas City Chiefs. So
That's where this game is.
I'll let you 2 handle this one. I think this is going to be a very exciting game. If the Chiefs play how they did last week, absolutely. If we get the prior weeks, who knows? But Will, I'll start with you. Why the Cowboys?
The Cowboys, man, they let that Denver game get away from them. Otherwise, they should still only have 1 loss on the season. I mean, they've been playing absolute ridiculous football. As soon as they let that game get away from them, you're thinking, last week we were talking, Atlanta, Dallas, this game could be close, and then it was a difference of 40. I mean, it's just one of those things to where the Dallas Cowboys are very, very good. They got to be up there in conversation for NFC Championship. They have been playing absolutely phenomenal. Dak Prescott looked fantastic. Zeke was getting in on it, which is something we haven't seen in a couple seasons. This is a very good team. And last year it was a big hurt for them that their defense was very subpar. This year, I mean, they're not playing great, but they're definitely being serviceable. And so, and really with this offense capability, that's all they need. Patrick Mahomes is back, ? One game isn't enough for me. Put him up against another team, put him up against a good team. Let's see exactly how it goes. And then I'll determine if Patrick Mahomes is back or not. Dallas, not exactly the most, stud-filled secondary. Obviously, Trevon Diggs is great, but even then, he's also bad. He's the best hands corner in the league, but also gives up some of the most explosive plays in the league. He's very flip-floppy. So we'll see. I'd imagine Trevon Diggs is going to allow a touchdown or 2 to Tyreek Hill, but I'd also imagine he's going to pick one off and take it back to the house. It's going to be an entertaining game. I would take the Cowboys just in a high-scoring game.
Yeah, so Jamel, the Chiefs looked great last week. We look at the last month as a whole, and this is just kind of a lackluster performance-wise Chiefs team. What made you pick Kansas City here?
Yeah, they definitely have been lackluster, but during this month, I think I've been pretty adamant with staying with the Chiefs the whole time, and I'm not going to stray away from that now because I know deep down what this team is capable of. Yeah, they went in a bad rut, but the way the season is, a lot of teams have had bad showings, and I think this is a game the Chiefs I think they know internally this is a game they need to win. They look like they got their swagger back a little bit last week, but like you guys both mentioned, that's one game. That's not. You need to show us a little bit more. And I think here's a perfect opportunity. You get a Cowboys team, like Will mentioned, they're a great football team. They can score and they're playing a lot better defense, but they're capable of getting beat. And that's why I think the Chiefs have a great opportunity to win this football game because of how explosive their offense is. Yeah, they have Travion Diggs getting a lot of picks, but he, like Will said, he can get beat by Tyreek Hill. They still have Travis Kelce. I don't know who's going to stop him on the Cowboys after what he just did to the Raiders. So, and they got a 2-headed attack at running back with Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire if he returns this week. So I think the Chiefs know they need to win this game. The Cowboys, they don't, obviously they want to win. They need to win to keep track to get to the top spot in the NFC. But I think the Chiefs need this game a lot more. And I think they're going to be a little bit hungrier, especially being at home. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Chiefs.
Big game for both teams, both division winners. And, you want to hold those top spots in the conference. So if they want to get to that point, a win here could become crucial. So we'll see what happens there. We'll get to our unanimous picks. We'll fly through those. We'll start with the Thursday night game, the New England Patriots taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Patriots right now looking good, only half a game out of first in the AFC North. Or I'm sorry, the AFC East. Mac Jones has been pretty legit, honestly. And all four of us have New England defeating the Falcons. Will, can you tell us why?
Dude, Macaroni's a stud. He's playing some pretty good football out there. He's looking like the best quarterback in the class. I'm not gonna lie. The more he plays, the more stupid I feel by saying never take an Alabama quarterback. I mean, the kid's been a stud within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's just done absolutely great things. Wide receivers are making him look even better, but I mean, he's just accurate. He makes the plays. He does. And I think this is more of a testament to Bill Belichick. I think it's just kind of easing him into the situation. You're not exactly making him do these big fancy plays. You're not confusing the playbook too much. He's looking good, and they do what they can to win. The defense is playing great, which has always been a thing for the Patriots. They've always been a pretty decent defense, and the Falcons just got blown out by 40. It doesn't get easier this week with the Patriots, who are fighting for a division title now at this point. So yeah, give me the Patriots by multiple scores.
Jamel, over under 2 interceptions thrown by Matt Ryan, or 1.5, since betting. Or
I'm gonna go with 2. I'll take the over 1.5.
Hot.
Okay, that'll be fun.
J.C. Jackson looks like a stud at cornerback for the Patriots, man.
He's looked good. He's looked strong. And the Patriots are playing good football, I think better than most people really expected. We'll move to the first Sunday game we have here. It's the Indianapolis Colts against the Buffalo Bills. The Colts kind of struggling 5-5. Wild card more in their sights now than division winners. But the Bills are sitting in first, right above those Patriots we just mentioned. And all four of us are going with the Bills, who have had, almost a perfect season, I guess you could say. They faltered in a few games, but overall they've still been pretty strong. Jamel, tell us, besides them being strong, why we took the Bills.
Well, number one, there's just no one that circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Let's be honest now, that's number one. But number two, in all seriousness, this is a rematch of a playoff game from last year, a game where Philip Rivers played. Now we have Carson Wentz leading the Indianapolis Colts. And at the end of the day, the Colts want to run the ball a lot with Jonathan Taylor. And the Bills just aren't going to allow Jonathan Taylor to beat them single-handedly. And the Colts are going to have to throw the football, and I don't think they're going to be able to throw the ball to a high degree against Tre'Davious White and the rest of this Bills secondary. I think there's going to be a little bit too much Bills defense, and that's why the Bills are going to win this game.
Will, I feel like I ask about Josh Allen's stats every time, but over under 3.5 touchdowns for Josh Allen.
I'm gonna go under. This Colts defense, honestly, this is a game that also took me a little bit to kind of pick from. I almost wanted to take the Colts. I really did. I really thought about it, but no, I'm gonna take Buffalo. I think I don't see a world where he throws more than 3. I think both defenses are pretty solid. The defense has never been the issue. In the Colts, it's just been kind of trying to figure out the multi dimensions of the offense. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is a stud, one of the best running backs in the league. Carson Wentz has been doing great. He's been efficient. He's been very much efficient, not turning over the ball, and doing good with ball security, which has been a problem in the past. They're kind of pulling him back from being a gunslinger. But I think this game's going to be a little bit lower scoring than we think. But I think this is still going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah, lower scoring, but exciting nonetheless. We'll move to Baltimore and Chicago. Baltimore, big disappointment last week. Thursday Night Football losing to, I believe, the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bears are just lucky they're in the same division as the Lions, because otherwise probably looking at dead last. Well, not much good going on there, but I'll go to you for this one. All four of us took Baltimore despite last week's loss. Can you tell us why?
Lamar is an MVP candidate, and Justin Fields is a future MVP candidate for the Seattle Seahawks. So whenever he finally leaves Chicago, gets off out of his bag after his 4-year deal, he will finally come into his own, and he will make us feel really stupid. Can't wait. But until then, a pissed off Ravens team after dropping to a sorry Miami team is not what we want to see out of the bye. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is finally the last team on this hell stretch that we're going to be on. We actually have some pretty winnable games here in the back tail end of the schedule, minus the Packers. Lions. We get to see them again. If I'm not mistaken, the Vikings twice, which is winnable. I think we play the Jaguars somewhere in there, maybe. Or some trash team. Anyway, there's a trash team in there. Giants, trash team, bad. Easy win, maybe. But But this will be a fun match for Justin Fields to see how he can do. It's a decent defense that got exploited a little bit by Miami. Obviously, an MVP candidate on the other side of things. So this will be fun to watch. But I think it's pretty easy that the Ravens walk out with this one.
For the record, Bears and Giants both 3-6. So how bad is bad, and who's badder, and who's baddest?
Oh, the Lions are baddest.
Yeah, they
By
are.
far.
They stink.
We'll get into them now. They
Yay!
did lose last week. Everyone, round of applause.
Good job.
Lose. They tied the ill-playing Steelers. Big disappointment for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Detroit has to be happy, I guess. I mean, it's not a loss. They're playing the Browns, who also sit in last, although 5-5 is much different than 0-8-1. All four of us went with the Browns. Kind of a no-brainer, but at this point in the season, anything can happen. Jamel, tell us why we went with the Browns.
Not everything can happen. There's just no. After this man, Jared Goff, played 4 quarters plus an entire overtime, and he produced 114 passing yards. He had like 70 yards until like the fourth, almost the game was over.
That's because Motor City Dan Campbell realized that if you want to win or not lose, you don't put the ball in Goff's hands.
The Lions are better off running the triple option at this point than
they should.
Jared Goff. We might as well just let DeAndre Swift run Wildcat every play with him.
There's nothing to lose.
Jefferson, Williams, and the other guy that broke the 50-yarder. They just need to run the Wildcat.
I'm in.
I mean, what's the worst that'll happen? Oh, we don't win. Oh, well, we haven't won anyways.
Bring in the old-time coach from Georgia Tech, and let's run the triple option every single play. Let's see what happens.
They might also play David Blau. Anyways, let me get off this and just continue about the game. The Browns have a guy named Myles Garrett, and he's going to give Jared Goff a lot of fits. Jared Goff could barely throw against the Steelers. He's not throwing against the Browns because he's not going to have time. Myles Garrett's going to be in his grill the whole game. And on offense, the Browns should be able to run the ball however they want against the Lions, to be honest, and win this football game. Baker Mayfield, if he plays, shouldn't have to throw too much.
Yeah, it's a big game for the Browns, especially if they want a chance at the playoffs. So they're going to be trying their hardest against this Lions team that's still looking for their first win. So we'll see what happens there. We'll move to another pretty easy one. Tennessee taking on Houston. All four of us went with Tennessee Titans. Will, any idea why we would do that?
Well, last week I remember we mentioned at least a couple of us said that the Tennessee Titans might be the favorite in the AFC conference. Well, the Houston Texans are not. In fact, they're not even close. They might be a decade away from that, or maybe a decade past that. It's kind of rough to watch the Houston Texans, who call themselves a football team, play football. And for some reason, old man Peterson and everybody involved at the Titans are just making it work. Where their offense is starting to slope down, all of a sudden they can play defense, and it's weird. It's kind of fun to watch. The Titans are a good team to watch this year. And it's the Houston Texans. Come on now.
It's the Texans, and that's really all you had to say.
See, when you get the sheet and you see the Texans and you look across, just
exactly.
Another big in-division matchup. We got a couple of them this week. In the NFC North, this one is the Packers and Vikings. First place and second place in that division. The Packers coming off a really big defensive game, shutting out the Seahawks, which you don't see very often. All four of us did go with the Packers. Jamel, you've been a big Vikings fan this season.
Yeah.
Why did we go with the Packers?
I started off thinking they were going to be good. Then I went dead. No, they're not. Then I said, yeah, they are. Then they screwed me over. And then now I'm anti-Vikings for the moment. And it's going to continue this week. But they impressed. They got a good win last week on the road in LA. So it was a pretty solid win. But this week they're running against the Packers and an angry Aaron Rodgers. I guess I don't know if he's really angry, but I think it's just going to be a little bit too much Rodgers and Adams this game. I think they're going to get their connection back. They did lose Aaron Jones, but A.J. Dillon looks like a tank running the football behind him. I think he's going to be able to do his thing, and I think the Packers are going to do just enough to win this football game on the road in a tough game.
Victory. All right, cool.
Football. Okay.
Vikings, bad.
Packers, Rodgers, Dillon, Tank, Jones. Kevin King got an interception last week. right?
The world is burning.
Or he did something.
Don't
Jamal
talk
Adams
about my cousin like that, dog.
too.
Jamal Adams also got a pick. This is not. This is not it.
I
Yeah,
heard he tied Vince Wilfork.
Vince Wilfork.
Very impressive stuff. But the Packers look good. It wasn't the highest scoring outing, but the defense stepped up, and that was, the Packers are typically known for a weaker defense than offense. So that's impressive and kind of scares me moving forward for opponents of the Packers. But we have them taking the victory here on Sunday. We got another pretty good matchup. Both teams in this one coming off big underdog victories. It's the Washington football team and the Carolina Panthers. Both teams beating, I don't want to say NFC favorites, but two of them. I mean, the Bucs and the Cardinals, respectively. Cam Newton's back, even though we only had 4 attempts, something like that. 2 tuds.
Two tuds.
And
He
that's
knows
all,
2 touchdowns worth. That's it.
that's all,
And
hey,
he's
that's
back.
efficiency. That's all that really matters. And he should be getting more reps this week. Still Taylor Heineke in Washington, but all 4 of us do, whether or not it's Newton mania or what. We all have the Carolina Panthers. Jamil, tell us why.
Oh, thank God.
I'm gonna go because of the Panthers defense. They've been stout all season, and last week, even though they played a Cardinals team with a backup quarterback, they still flexed their muscles and they played great in all facets of the game on defense. I think this week, yes, Taylor Heineke did very good last week. He diced up the Bucs a little bit, and yes, they had that 10-minute drive, the embarrassing 10-minute drive on my Bucs defense to ice the game. But to be honest, we have no corners. The Panthers have some corners. They got some players. They got probably a better defense all around when they're healthy. They're more healthy than the Bucs defense right now. And they're going to make a lot of plays. I think they're going to give Taylor Heineke some problems. On the offensive side of the ball, I think Cam Newton will play a little bit more. I don't know if he'll be ready to start, but just him playing a little bit more, being able to run the ball, extend some drives, him and McCaffrey together in that backfield is dangerous. And I think they're going to score enough with that defense, making a lot of plays to win the football game.
Will, last week against the Bucs, Chase Young unfortunately went down with torn ACL. He's out for the season. What long-term effect does that injury have on the football team's defense?
Oh man, dude, that's your biggest blow. That's where 9 out of 10 of your QB pressures come from. Not even from the fact. It's kind of like with the Bears right now. The Bears have been missing Khalil Mack, and what that does on a defense is that you don't have somebody getting double teamed anymore. You don't have that tight end throwing that extra chip block in there to buy your quarterback some time. Now it's, can your O-line hold back, Ioannidis, however it's pronounced, and then everybody else on that line. And I mean, it sucks, but whenever you have 2 offensive linemen or a tight end and a no lineman, guarded to one dude, that generates a lot of pressure for everybody else. Whenever everybody's thinking, we need to stop Chase Young, we need to stop Aaron Donald, we need to stop Khalil Mack, and that allows for a lot of people to step up. That's why, like in the Bears example, Robert Quinn's been amazing this offseason, this year. Akeem Hicks has come into his own in Chicago, generating a ton of pressure up the middle. And it's just because you're worried about that main guy, and now they don't have that main guy you need to worry about. So offensive lines can not necessarily relax, but the assignments can get a little bit more loose. And now you probably have a little bit more time that you can buy for Cam or whatever quarterback's going to be going up against that team, and it's going to allow for that defense, that secondary that's not so great, to get exposed.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The rest of the season moving forward, how the football team kind of make up for that, because based on who they have, you can't really make up for a player like Chase Young. Most teams can't. So that's going to be big, and it'll be interesting to see how their defense holds up this week against the Panthers. We'll move to our second to last game. It's the San Francisco 49ers against the Jacksonville Jaguars. 49ers had a big win last week, and all 4 of us, or maybe riding that momentum, did take the Niners. Jamil, tell us why.
Yeah, I think that obviously the Jags, they showed a little bit of life last week against the Colts coming back, and then we watched the Niners maybe show the world the blueprint to beating the Rams. Run the ball, control the clock, and don't let the corners play great, and don't let the pass rushers get after you. But this week, I think it's going to be a little bit too much of the Niners being physical at the line, much like they were against the Rams, against the Jaguars team. Obviously, they're going to want to run the football, and I think they're going to be able to run the football. Elijah Mitchell hurt his finger, so we'll see if he's able to go. If he's not, they still have Jeff Wilson, who did good in spot relief last season. I think he'll be able to do just enough this week. And Deebo Samuel, this guy is absolutely ridiculous, whether he's in the backfield or catching screen passes or running a post route. He can't seem to be stopped right now. And George Kittle is also getting hot. So I think the Niners are going to flex their muscle a little bit too much for the Jaguars in this one.
Can we have a short conversation about how George Kittle told Von Miller to eat his Wheaties? That man threw that man on the ground. That was nuts. That was probably the best pancake I've seen all season. George Kittle throwing Von Miller. Oh, amazing.
George Kittle's he has to be for me one of like the most entertaining players in football. Like everything he does just seems to be funny.
Future Bear. Don't forget.
Where's Cole Kmet gonna go?
I don't know. Probably Packers. Like George Kittle grew up a Bears fan. Fun fact. I have a video to prove it.
I don't know. I mean, neither team has been that successful, but at least they got a trip to the Super Bowl from the Niners. Who knows?
Right.
We'll see what happens. But we'll finish up with Monday Night Football. The New York Giants coming off a bye, taking on the Bucs, who didn't really look like the Bucs last week. Obviously, kind of a disappointing loss to the football team. Tom Brady not doing what he's done every other game this season, pretty much. All four of us, though, of course, still taking the defending champs, the Bucs. Will, can you tell us why?
This seems like a typical game in which the Giants would, for some reason, steal. But with the Bucs coming off of a loss, I'm not going to say it's going to happen. If the Bucs won last week, I may consider it just for fun, just to have a little, make things a little interesting in the standings. But there's no way Tom Brady does that, especially at home, in prime time against a subpar Giants team. No, that doesn't happen. That's not TB12. That's not the Brady way. And it's not going to start now.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Brady doesn't take losing very well. And last week after that game, he did not look happy. I heard his press conference was like 30 seconds or like a minute, and then he just did. So expect a menacing Tom Brady this weekend, or it's Monday, against the Giants. But that's it. That's all we got. Our Week 11 picks. Will, you're holding a big lead. You're 10 games above me, 5 games above Jamil and RJ. You feel comfortable?
Never. There's still plenty of football left. I remember at this time last year, I think this is about whenever I took the lead last year and held my way the rest of the year. And I mean, Jamil made things pretty close. If I remember right, Jamil and RJ were neck and neck last year, and it was Jamil pulled away a little bit, and then he started to get up on my throat. But Jamil likes to do this fun thing where he's like, I gotta gain ground on Will somehow, and then he loses those games. And so that
is what happens.
So that is what is happening.
Exactly what happens.
And I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm 3-0 in my last islands the last 2 weeks. That's all I'm saying. So I mean, it comes down to that. Am I comfortable? No. I know Jamil can catch up. And the way the NFL season, the last 2 weeks have been horrible. I mean, we've gone. I think. Everybody this week went like under 500 except for me, who the only reason I didn't is because I tied. Like it's ridiculous. So no, there's never such thing as comfortability in this. And but I mean, it's all fun. It's fun to be the lead dog. It's fun to have the little friendly competition. And if I win again, I'll hold the championship again. Hey, what the hell?
Good answer. Never satisfied. I got third last year, so I'm 5 games away from that. If I could somehow claw back.
You got it.
RJ might start dipping again like he did last year, and for that,
just start turning in my ballot. Just be like, yeah, I'm going with this.
RJ was throwing blind darts at the end of last season.
I'll copy you. It'll take me to the top.
RJ last year was just like, you know what?
Blind darts.
Jets are gonna beat the Bills. Forget it. I was like, no, no, they're not.
At least he's having fun, and that's most important. But that's all we got for this week. Catch us next week for Week 12. If we didn't mention your team, by the way, Denver or LA, both of you get it together. Welcome Odell and Vaughn. You guys lost. So win next week. Be better. Will Polston, Jamil King. I've been Matthew Perry. It's been GMs for Hire. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.